find you learned anything.
Back here in the U.S., a new report from a government watchdog suggests the Trump administration's efforts to fire civil rights staff at the Department of Education ended up costing taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. That was part of the Trump administration's big reduction in force at the Education Department nearly a year ago in March. NPR's Corey Turner got an exclusive early look at the report and is with us now to tell us more about it. Good morning, Corey.
Good morning, Michelle.
Corey, this was a big story last March. We talked about this at length. So just remind us, what were the layoffs at the center of this report?
Yeah, we're going back to March 11th when the Trump administration moved to fire ultimately nearly half of all of the workers at the U.S. Department of Education, when you also factor in early retirements and folks who chose to leave because of the pressure put on by the Trump administration. Among those who were laid off at the time were 300 attorneys and staff from the department's Office for Civil Rights, known as OCR. And their job is to investigate complaints of discrimination in schools based on students' sex, race, national origin, disability, and more. Now, the courts quickly blocked the administration from firing these civil rights staff, Michelle. But then the Trump administration made an expensive choice. From March until December, it paid these staff but would not let them return to work. And this new report from the nonpartisan U.S. Government Accountability Office, GAO, says when you add up the salary and benefits of all of these folks who were not allowed to do their jobs, it ended up costing taxpayers between $28.5 and $38 million.
What does the Education Department have to say about that?
So attached to the report is a letter from the Trump-appointed head of OCR, Kimberly Ritchie. And she pushes back, saying because the Education Department finally allowed these workers to return to their work in December, she says the whole thing is moot. That's her word, moot. Kind of water under the bridge, I suppose. It's not a cost if they're still employed. But that obviously ignores the fact that these workers spent nearly 9 months being paid but not being allowed to investigate civil rights complaints. GAO also recommended that OCR go back and do a full accounting of the costs and savings of these layoffs. But Ritchie pushed back there, too, saying, quote, "We do not concur with that recommendation."
And when you say go back to work, you're not talking about go physically to an office. You're saying don't do any work at all.
No, they were not allowed to do their work.
And what about the cost to the work that this office is supposed to do to protect civil rights?
Yeah, so I've been going through public data, Michelle, trying to figure that out. And I've been comparing OCR's output last year, 2025, to its output in the first year of the first Trump administration, 2017. Because obviously here you need an apples-to-apples, Trump-to-Trump comparison. My main takeaway is that this OCR is not reaching resolution agreements in nearly as many complaints as it did in Trump's first term. And that's true when it comes to racial harassment. The current OCR reached agreements in just a small fraction of cases compared to 2017. It's also true with complaints of disability discrimination. In 2017, OCR reached more than 10 times as many resolution agreements as they did last year. And in cases of school-based sexual harassment or assault, think college campus, the 2017 OCR reached dozens of agreements. But last year, under Trump, data show the office didn't reach a single resolution agreement in school-based sexual assault or harassment. I asked the department what they think the public should conclude from these differences, but I have not heard back yet.
That is NPR's Corey Turner. Corey, thanks so much for your reporting.
We lose our job, we walk the street all fucking night. How you gonna come home and tell a black woman you ain't got no money?
Washington Post is laying off a third of its workforce across both the newsroom and its business operations, a massive blow at a storied newspaper that has struggled in recent years to stay profitable and retain subscribers. The cuts reportedly affect more than 300 of the approximately 800 journalists in the newsroom and include eliminating its sports desk and books section entirely. The Post's executive editor said the changes, though painful, were meant to, quote, reinvent the paper for a new era. For more on these cuts and their implications, we're joined now by Marty Barron, who was the editor of the Washington Post from 2012 until 2021. Welcome back to the NewsHour.
Thanks for having me.
You have described this as among the darkest days in the Post's history. What do these layoffs mean for the paper's mission and its ability to continue doing in-depth, substantial reporting?
Well, I think it's important to keep in mind just how widespread these cuts are. Not only the sports desk, the books department, but pretty much the entire arts department, eviscerating the foreign staff, largely eviscerating the local staff as well. So these are huge, huge cuts, and they're going to do enormous damage to the newspaper's ability to cover its community, to cover the country, and to cover the world in all the ways that it should.
The executive editor, Matt Murray, said today that the paper's structure was built for a different era and that refocusing on what he calls these core coverage areas like politics and national security will help the Post better navigate technological change, shifting audience habits, cost pressures. Do you buy that argument?
Well, I think Matt is doing a really good job as editor of The Post. The Post is doing extraordinary journalism every single day, and I commend them for that. I admire what they're doing. That said, they seem to have announced a new strategy just about once a year now, saying that it would better position themselves for the future, and none of those things have worked. I don't think what they're doing now helps position them for the future. It diminishes the brand, it diminishes the coverage, it offers less to their readers. They're going to have fewer subscribers as a result of this, probably not more. So I understand why Matt is saying that. He has to say something positive about what's happening, but I don't think there's very much positive to say.
You served as editor under Jeff Bezos back in 2013 when he purchased the paper and pledged long-term investment and support for the newsroom. What do you make of what appears to be a shift in both his relationship to the paper and his willingness to invest in its future?
Well, he was great at the beginning. And for a long time, as a matter of fact. He set out a vision for the Post to be national and international as opposed to regional, which it was largely before. He invested heavily in the Post. We innovated tremendously over the years. We grew tremendously as well, practically doubling the staff. And we were profitable for about 6 straight years. And so that was a lot of progress. He was proud of it. He spoke proudly of it. So now we're seeing, a diminished outlook. And I think that he became sort of detached in about 2019 when his marriage broke up, when Amazon was struggling later in 2020, when Amazon was struggling with the pandemic and all the aspects of that. And then I think he really took a real turn after it looked like Trump was going to be elected president yet again. And that was in 2024. And 11 days before the presidential election in 2024, they killed an editorial that was endorsing Kamala Harris. He said the paper wouldn't endorse ever again for president. And hundreds of thousands of subscribers canceled at that time, aggravating the financial problems that they had. Subsequent to that, he did all sorts of things that made things even worse. Appearing at the inauguration on the stage with Donald Trump, buying the Melania so-called documentary for an exorbitant price, Amazon buying the rights to The Apprentice, and Amazon had bought the rights to the Melania's documentary as well, and then completely changing the opinion pages so that essentially they have no columnists who are really left of center. And they're very deferential to Trump. And I think they lack a moral core. And so all of that has driven subscribers away. And so for every subscriber that they get coming in through the front door because of the high quality news coverage, I think they're losing maybe 2 subscribers out the back door. Of course, I don't know the numbers exactly, but clearly they've been losing a lot of subscribers.
Why does an institution like the Washington Post matter at this moment in particular?
Look, I think it's the reason that every news organization matters. It's an organization. I think the role of a news organization is to give the public the information it needs and deserves to know so that they can govern themselves. The Washington Post has a long history of that, and particularly of holding government to account, keeping a close eye on government. That happened, of course, during Watergate. I think we did that when I was editor on the first round of Trump's time in the White House, his first term. And they continue to do that today. I think they're doing a tremendous job of that. People need to know what's happening in their government. They need to know what's happening in the corridors of power, whether in government or in business or in nonprofits or wherever it might be. And they need to know what's happening around the world. So if you don't have reporters around the world, you're not going to know what's happening. And we need more than one news organization doing that. We need multiple news organizations doing that. So look, the press is built into our democracy. It is provided for in the First Amendment to the Constitution because the founders understood that you needed an institution that would keep watch on government. And, you know, James Madison, who was the principal author of that amendment, talked about the need for freely examining public characters and measures. We are not stenographers and we should not be propagandists. And that is the role that the Washington Post has historically played, and that's the role that it should continue to play.
Marty Barron, thank you for your time this evening. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I thought I asked for an African-American to replace Terry.
You requested an Afro-American?
African-American. Jerry, you know I did. I put it in writing.
I didn't see it. You see it?
If you don't like her, you send her back.
Yeah, you tell her you didn't like her performance because she was white.
What? That's not the point.
Flipper, she's been here for 5 minutes. Give her a chance. This sounds dangerously like reverse discrimination to me.
Now, sportswear giant Nike is being investigated by a U.S. civil rights watchdog. It's over whether the workplace diversity policies may have unfairly treated white employees. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the U.S. federal agency that enforces anti-discrimination laws, revealed in a court filing that it's examining whether the company's hiring, mentoring and layoff practices broke the law. The agency has demanded internal company data from Nike, including a racial and ethnic breakdown of employees who were selected for mentoring and leadership programs, and how layoffs were decided, and whether some programs were limited to specific racial groups. Investigators are checking whether the company disadvantaged white employees or job applicants, or used race in workplace decisions, which is illegal under U.S. law. The agency went to court after saying Nike did not fully comply with a broad subpoena requesting these details. However, this case is unusual. Most discrimination probes start with a worker complaint. This one did not. Instead, the EEOC's chair, Andrea Lucas, personally initiated the case in May 2024. She used a rare legal tool called a commissioner's charge. Well, the charge was partly based on Nike's public diversity commitments, including a 2021 goal to reach 35% racial and ethnic minority representation in its corporate workforce by 2025. It's notable that Andrea Lucas was nominated by US President Donald Trump for her position, and many now see her actions as part of Trump's overall MAGA agenda, including this current challenge against Nike.
The EEOC will take all necessary steps, including subpoena enforcement actions, to ensure the opportunity to fully and comprehensively investigate.
Nike says it is cooperating and has already shared large amounts of material. The company described the legal filing as a surprising and unusual escalation.
We have shared thousands of pages of information and detailed written responses to the EEOC's inquiry and are in the process of providing additional information. We are committed to fair and lawful employment practices and follow all applicable laws, including those that prohibit discrimination. We believe our programs and practices are consistent with those obligations and take these matters seriously.
The investigation comes amid a broader effort in the United States to challenge corporate diversity, equity and inclusion policies. Critics argue some programs may amount to reverse discrimination, especially against white workers and men. Supporters say they're meant to correct long-standing workplace inequality. Nike is certainly the most high-profile company to face such a probe, though the Commission previously issued a similar subpoena to financial services firm Northwestern Mutual, which denied wrongdoing. Some complaints were also filed by the conservative group America First Legal, founded by Trump advisor Stephen Miller. Under Title 8 of the U.S. Civil Rights Act, employers cannot make decisions based on race, even when pursuing diversity goals. That means the investigation will focus on a key question. Did Nike's diversity policies promote inclusion? or illegally influence employment decisions. Well, for now, the Nike case will only determine whether investigators can get access to company records that they say they haven't as yet received in full. It will be just the first step before any possible lawsuit or penalty in a case that could run and run.
Deep in the heart.
What'd you say now?
I said deep in the heart.
I can't hear you.
Deep in the heart.
Where's that?
Of Texas.
An ongoing federal lawsuit against the Texas Department of Public Safety and its director, Stephen McGraw, is raising some concerns about the culture and the environment inside DPS. 3 DPS officers, 2 African-American officers, and 1 Hispanic officer are the plaintiffs in this case. Now, they've been with the department between 15 to 26 years. That lawsuit alleges the officers have been subjected to years of hostile work environments, including discrimination, unlawful retaliation, and harassment. I spoke with Dalton Huey, our investigator here, about this report.
A lot to unpack here, but what were those concerning claims?
We have 3 DPS officers who still currently work for the agency that they are now suing. Amongst the 3 of them, they've all experienced similar racial discrimination, harassment, retaliation for filing complaints, not having the same rights as other non-minority officers would. It is, to this point, gotten to where the lawsuit refers to the working environment at DPS as racially discriminatory environment.
Are you able to delve into any of the concerns that were outlined in the lawsuit, specifically about why they felt that they were discriminated against?
Amongst the 3 of them, 2 of them experienced some of the same instances because they actually were assigned to the same unit. One in particular that definitely stands out is pictures that were circulating amongst officers in the unit during work hours on work phones, and these images were of their supervisor with a Hitler mustache, and then another one wearing socks with a caption that said "Black Socks Matter," mocking the Black Lives Matter movement right around the time of the George Floyd protests.
We have these filings with the OIG. What happened after those documents were filed?
The 5-page complaint that was filed with the OIG's office was one of several complaints that the 3 plaintiffs filed against superiors, against others in their unit. In some cases, the OIG's office responded, usually months later, and found that their complaints were valid. The court records don't actually say what kind of disciplinary action was taken for those sustained complaints where discrimination was found. But then in a majority of the other complaints, the OIG's office determined that there wasn't enough evidence to substantiate the complaints that were being made. And then in other cases, for one plaintiff in particular, he never heard back for almost 2 years until his involvement in this federal lawsuit.
There's 3 plaintiffs who you talk about within your report. You reached out to DPS. What did you hear back from them?
They don't discuss pending litigation. That was the extent of it. We also reached out to the attorney representing the department and its director, Stephen McGraw. We never heard back from him either. And, so what we have is what we know in the court records.
What comes next?
My understanding is that they are currently in depositions. The judge did just recently grant a motion to extend deadlines for those depositions to be done and for the discovery process. Starting in January will be the deadline for the depositions, and we'll learn more about what was said during those depositions at that time.
And we dig deeper into these complaints. You can just look for this story on our homepage at kxan.com.
The code doesn't say nothing against somebody going into business. That's, going into business is just going into business. That's all. If you can find a business to go into where you can make some money. I mean, there are some black people who are in business. They run in little barbecue stands or something, or a chuck wagon.
Chicago Black Restaurant Week was designed to celebrate food, beverage, and dessert-focused businesses in the Black community right here in our city.
Founder Lauren A. Smith joins us now to share a few of this year's featured restaurants. Welcome. So good to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
This is a big year for Black History Month, and you have brought some fantastic restaurants along.
We have good treats this morning,
That's
so I
amazing.
hope you are ready to sample.
Yes.
Before we do that, let's talk a little bit about how you got started with Black Restaurant Week.
It was more of I wanted to marry my love of community and my love of food, so I had to figure out a way to bring it both together, and I said, you know what, let's do a whole celebration of Black-owned businesses, food, beverage, dessert. And it just took off, and now it's year 11.
I love it.
11 and more than 39 restaurants.
So when you participate, do you get a little history about the restaurant at all?
Well, of course, you get background history, of course, when they post items on their social media, but we're more concerned with the food. Let's talk about what we can eat. We want to eat. That's all we want to do is eat.
Okay, so what's the first one we got here?
First, we have Sanders Barbecue. They are located in Beverly. This is their brisket, macaroni, and cheese.
Ooh, it's got all of the good stuff in there, right?
I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
What makes this so, makes one of your lists, made your list? Look at me.
I know.
Trying to get
Well,
in
I
there.
have actually known the owner for over 25 years at this point. We went to college together. So he wanted to participate. Of course, I'm not going to tell him no. Good.
What does the rest of their menu look like?
You will be as big as this whole building if you go over there and get everything off of there.
Okay.
I love it. Sweet and savory. It's so good.
Delicious.
Okay.
That's a winner. Winner, chicken dinner. Okay.
So now we have the gumbo from Toasted Is. So they have two locations, one on Western, one on Hubbard. So it's crispy golden fried catfish over creamy buttery stone ground grits, topped with rich house-made gumbo.
Okay, now you know Western is the longest street in the
9204
city.
Southwest.
Thank you. I'm like, is it
I just wanted to throw it out there.
Okay, all right. So it's on Western. Okay, I always love some good fried catfish.
Oh my gosh, and grits.
Fish and grits. Okay.
Yes.
That's so good. And then it got some shrimp in there.
Yes.
Crawfish.
And what is this deliciousness?
Now I want to say that's a banana pudding, but don't get me, not a banana pudding, but bread pudding. Why am I saying banana?
Okay.
Bread pudding, but don't get me wrong, because I think that was added.
It's actually pretty. Oh my,
Stick with
savory.
So now we have Taste 222. They are on 222 North Canal. This is their shrimp and grits. Whitestone ground grits, Gulf shrimp, applewood smoked bacon, cremini mushrooms, scallions, citrus cream, and chives.
Wow. Now they've been around for a while because they used to be the Shark Bar, right?
I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on that, but they have actually participated in the Chicago Black Restaurant Week several years. But yeah, their food is delicious.
Oh.
Now, each of the restaurants have special menus for this week, too?
Either they're going to do a special menu or they're going to take the liberty of discounting whatever they want to on their menu. You know, like discount the appetizers, discount the whole menu, discount cocktails. But whatever they do, it's up to them. Total autonomy.
Okay, so you said it's not just lunch and dinner. There's also dessert there,
Oh,
right?
yes. So now we have Struggle Beard Bakery. This is the Charles Anthony cookie. So now this is infused with chocolate from a woman-owned Chicago chocolatier. Also Alexander James bourbon with roasted pecans. Just brown butter dough, generous chunks of premium chocolate. It's amazing. So just imagine that warm.
So how do we find out what's on your list? Is it that we go to your website, do we your social media? How does it work?
You can go to the Instagram page for Chicago Black Restaurant Week. You can go to the website for Chicago Black Restaurant Week. It's everywhere. So either or, you're going to get the list and the addresses. And also the menus will go up later this week.
How do you choose restaurants, or do they apply to be part of it?
They just sign up. You just have to be a Black-owned food, beverage, or dessert business. And hey, let's lock in.
Oh my gosh.
I'm loving it. And you have a lot of repeats.
All the time. Like Harris Gulf Shrimp is a repeat. Juice by Chic is a repeat. Chemistry is owned by Rico Nance, but Lighthouse Whole Food, repeat. So they come back. I mean, they understand the importance of it.
What do you think this has done for a lot of those businesses?
And I don't want to, of course, take full responsibility or credit for that, but I really do believe that it allows people, all cultures, to see what's out here. This might be around the corner from your house, but you're traveling maybe 2 hours away to get something else when it's right here. So hopefully more people will patronize the businesses because this is good stuff.
Oh my gosh.
This is
So
good
it's
stuff.
not just Black people go to these Black-owned restaurants.
No, it's everybody go to these Black-owned restaurants.
Yes, because a lot of the time they don't get the attention, they don't get the press. I love it.
I do too.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I know you're leaving everything here so that we can get as big as this
go
table,
ahead.
right?
Go right, because you're not going to let me get big. You can do it. let you do it. I'm going to let you do it.
Well, I'll gladly do it, Lauren. Thank you so
Lauren. We
much.
appreciate it. Chicago Black Restaurant Week is happening February 8th through the 22nd. For more info, visit shyblackrestaurantweek.com. You can also follow the socials you see right there for more.
Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, Pamela Evans Harris, Lauren Cress Love. It's a lengthy list, but Chicago indeed. Context of White Supremacy, the worthless Negro from Virginia, a.k.a. the Black OJ, Gus T. Renegade, and for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Today's date, Thursday, February 5, 2026. So I have been told. This is our weekly broadcast for Neutralizing Workplace Racism, not for spectators, especially, hey, maybe you are an entrepreneur. You have figured out some strategies that might be helpful for other black business owners, help them be successful, and maybe even figure out something where they can showcase other black entrepreneurs. Wonderful. Let us know, even if you are not an entrepreneur working for someone else, if you have figured out how. I do not have any problems, worries. I'm going to be laid off anytime soon. They don't mess over me. They don't send pictures, my coworkers. They don't send pictures, text messages and emails, all these old tacky racist jokes. They don't do none of that. Black socks matter. They don't do none of that on your job. They are professional, courteous. They call you by your proper name. They're not firing folks willy-nilly. You don't have to walk around and be scared. They're going to accuse me of misgendering. They're going to accuse me of practicing racism against white men. None of that. None of that. None of that. You get all of your income correct every time. You don't have to go and brawl. Make sure you get your nickels accurately. None of that. You're treated correctly. They say your name correctly. You are a valued member of your company. Let us know. How did you accomplish this? We would like to see if we can mimic a little bit of your workplace comforts. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. If you have difficulties in the workplace and would appreciate some other victims using counter-racist logic to try to help solve problems without creating new problems, let us know. Number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. See, we have hands. We'll get to them promptly. Just be briefly about the audio segments we heard. We started President Trump, or the report we started with the cost of all of the people who were fired, laid off with the Office of Civil Rights. They said the cost was $28 million, where sometimes they reported that they had people who they paid them for 9 months, which is pretty much the whole year, to not work Don't do no investigating. Claims might be some racism, and sit at home. We will pay you until we figure out, how we're going to proceed getting you out of here or whatever. $28 million. And I thought all of this was under the name of waste to begin with. Isn't that what they said with Doge and Elon Musk and all of that? We got all this government. We're going to trim the fat. See, that's what they said about this time last year. $28 million. It reminded me, Neely Fuller Jr., he used to say all the time, white people, they will whine and cry and lie. Oh, man, we can't do right by you niggers, and it'll cost too much money to, produce justice. That's expensive. We don't have that kind of money or reparations or anything that would be constructive, helpful to non-white people. Oh, man, we don't have money for that. That's crazy. Waste $28 million for nothing. Fuller would point that sort of thing out all the time because white people do that sort of thing every day. They could easily produce justice. They do not want it. They like things just as they are. Let's see. The Washington Post letting go of 1/3 of their workforce. Massive. I thought of Dr. Frances Cress Welsing because she lived in the D.C. area for decades and she read the Washington Post every day. I might even be willing to wager I think she had a subscription to the Washington Post, so she might be in that group that they're whining about all the money that they lost. But I think she, at least she read the Washington Post on a regular basis. They said, importantly, Dr. Welsing say reading more important than watching television. Hey, they said we letting go of the entire book section. Because, a lot of newspapers, they have columns where they'll do book reviews and talk about different books and all of that sort of thing. Axe all of that. And the sports section. Wow. I had said before, I think all that sports gambling, because you keep having all these players in all of the major sports, all of these arrests and all the rest of it, like I could totally see that ending up where you have a whole massive disinterest in pro sports, where just lots and lots of people are just no longer interested in it. It's because it could even be a confluence, but I think the gambling, because it's so addictive and so many people are doing it and it keeps me in so many charges, but I don't know if that's part of why they're getting rid of their sports column. But either way, axing that whole thing. I think they said they said the local staff too. That is massive. Like I said, Dr. Welsing, I think she had a subscription to the Washington Post. She all the time talked about reading and paying attention to the news, watching the news, listening to the news, reading the newspaper. She talked about how she would go get many, many newspapers so she could be aware of what's happening in the world in the system of white supremacy racism. Local, national, international. They said they're getting rid of the international and local section of the Washington Post. Dang. How are you supposed to know what's happening in the DMV area? And that's the local paper. If you're in Washington, D.C., how are you supposed to know what's going on? Especially locally. How are you supposed to know? Man, they said these a third of the staff being cut. One of the darkest days in Washington Post history. I should have played that segment from Spike Lee's Bamboozled, where he has the great Chris Rock, the greatest counter-racist theorist of our times. It is Bamboozled, but they're watching Chris Rock on TV, and he said that he had a staff of white writers for his show, and he said that they wanted to know what the black experience was like, so he fired them all. You got a big laugh. The Washington Post, the black experience. 1/3 of them. Beat it, Leroy. Beat it. Don't need you no more. No more sports. No more local section. Even they were explaining like what led to all of this. And even if I could pause just quick, since we had been talking about the DC area with Drum and Spear bookstore, which no longer exists. It sounds like Washington Post might be going down that route too. And there was talk in Char Adams' book, Black Owned, where Drum and Spear, the black bookstore, is talked about. And many of the black bookstore owners themselves and others say, hey, the reason that a lot of these black bookstores didn't make it, it's not whitey, it's not racism, it's these no-count black entrepreneurs. They don't know how to run a business. They made poor decisions, and that's why, hey, they went bankrupt, they went bust, and that's what's supposed to happen in a capitalist system. Lots of people said something like that in the book. This is one where I point at and say, man, white people, like, they can make all kinds of errors and mess up and do whatever, and it's totally different. Like, I haven't heard anything about the Washington Post is, they got a COINTELPRO operation to attack Jeff Bezos and all the rest. Like, I haven't heard anything of that nature. I have for black bookstore owners. That notwithstanding, they said that they attempted to have an editorial endorsement of Kamala Harris, which is standard operating procedure. I thought most of the newspapers, that's what they do. Endorsements for elections. It might help local folks. They're undecided. Might help them think, at least this is who the paper is weighing in on. He picks the non-white candidate, or they editorial staff, they pick the non-white candidate, and Jeff Bezos, we're not endorsing anyone anymore. Dang, that's freedom of the press? And I was also thinking that, like, what cronyism? I'm running, even if I was going to run for, like, janitor at the kennel down the street. Even if it was going to be a contested election for this spot at the kennel, I got my friends at the local paper. Hey, who are y'all going to pick me for the endorsement? Y'all not going to endorse? Oh, man. Hey, look here. Don't do no more endorsement. Yeah, just if y'all not gonna pick me, and that's not even a switch it and pick me. If y'all not gonna pick me, just don't do no more endorsements. I don't want give my candidate. We don't want to give her no extra juice going into the election. They say, okay, brother Gus, we won't run it. What? Come on, man. Cronyism and white supremacy, racism. It would be interesting if any other non-Trump candidate, whoever else the Democratic Party had even if it had been Joe Biden, if he had stayed on the ticket, if the Washington Post had decided to pick, instead of Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, whoever else was the non-Trump candidate, would it have been the same behavior? You didn't pick Trump? Okay, we're not going to make any more endorsements. Just thinking. The section about Nike being accused of racism against the white workers are used, and Nike's headquarters, unless I am mistaken, it's right down the road from Gus T in Oregon, a state where in the Constitution, no niggers, they get the belt out and lash you. Like, if you come to Oregon and they got the audacity, 9 on 2030, hey, the white Oregonian man can't get a break at Nike. The white man, he can't just do it. What? And they said all Nike had was some lame objectives. We're going to see we can hit our target goal of 30% representation for racial and ethnic minorities in domestic leadership positions. Now, maybe they break all that down. I don't know. But when they say racial and ethnic minorities, so you would have to tell me, like, man, I know some people would say so-called Jew or Jewish, that counts as an ethnic minority. Whoa. You would have to tell, like, does Italian, does that count as an ethnic minority? You'd have to, because I could see a whole lot of ways that people classified as white they could sneak in. Hey, we are also racial and ethnic minorities, and we need to be in a leadership position as well. Easily see how that could happen. So anyway, and some of them might even look like they might be just a white man. They say, oh no, I'm Italian or I'm Ukrainian or whatever. Anyway, but they said the Trump Department, and I really had to pause for a second and listen tight, because they said that this was going to be a civil rights investigation. And I said, wait a minute, I thought we just heard that they wasted all that time and trimming staff the Office of Civil Rights, and that this was hampering their ability to investigate claims of racism. How are they turning around and now investigating if white men are victims of racism? But I had to go like I said, I had to listen tight. And it's, okay, this is the EEOC is investigating these claims of racism against white men. The Office of Civil Rights. That's where they wasted all the money and laid off all the staff so that they could not investigate claims of racism. Gotten my acronym straight. Make sure the group that's going to investigate the racism against white people get all the funding you need. Don't worry about it. Your budget will not be short. We got you. Let's see. And they got a white woman, Andrea Lucas. She's the one doing the investigating for the EEOC. Brilliant. The segment, I chortled mightily when I saw the allegations against the Texas Department of Safety, DPS. And I've said for quite some time now, the system of white supremacy is unsafe, and for sure the work at best you get people maybe pretend for a few hours a day will try to act like we're about safety, but not really. And I chortled even harder because I had just been talking about the Texas Department of Safety. Really, Gus? Why? Racism, white supremacy. This is the same department where a white officer who they were so tacky and racist, they didn't even name him. He got anonymity, just like when they would have those whole gangs of white people go out and lynch an uppity black dude, take his penis, his nether regions. They say, at the hands of persons unknown. Even when they got a crispy photograph, you can see everybody in their Sunday best, cheesing for the camera, at the hands of persons unknown. Isn't that your brother in the photo? And the hands of persons unknown. It was just weeks ago, the Texas Department of Safety, they had a football game, the Texas Aggies against the South Carolina Gamecocks. 3 times for Dr. Welsing in them white ball games. But they had a young black boy, probably uppity. He ran and he got a touchdown. He plays for the Gamecocks of South Carolina, right down there with non-Clemson grad. And the black boy, he scored and he ran up the tunnel, and the white Texas Department of Safety officer, as opposed to helping this young lad or seeing if he was okay because he was limping, looked like he might have injured himself scoring this touchdown, as opposed to doing any of that or nothing, the white suspected race soldier gives this black child, because I mean, to play college football, you can't be like no 30-year-old, generally speaking, you can't be no 30-year-old, gives this child like an elbow to the chest. Pow! Watch it, nigger. Watch it, nigger. I'll get your nether regions. Watch it, nigger. And they got all this on film. They talked about it and they suspended this white man, but they didn't name him. This was just weeks ago. And I said, even then, I put the emphasis. This is the Texas Department of Safety? You gonna bully a black child? Mad because he scored on your team? It's a white man with a gun, too. You're gonna shove a child. The man. So it's the same department. I'm not surprised at all. 2 black officers and a non-white officer say they're around there talking about Black socks matter. I would love to talk to them to know, what did these white people say the week after that incident happened? Because that got a lot of attention. The incident that I had mentioned it on the program before. They were talking about that on news outlets, and I know in Texas they were talking about that because it was on national. I saw it up here in Washington. It was on major TV, and they replayed it like, what was he thinking? What is he doing? You're supposed to be providing safety, not assaulting children. What are you doing? And we got about 8 billion cameras here. What are you doing? Practicing racism. Oh, okay, yeah. But that's Texas DPS, talking about black socks. That sort of thing. You see anybody in your workplace and they're swapping pictures like that. Oh, my God. Capture, save. Then I would make sure that you have it saved so that you have that file. It's not saved on the work computer. That's not your device. It's not saved on the work phone. You have the file, email, screenshot, all of it. Document. And that's one, you don't even have to accuse anyone of racism. They probably have things in your handbook about professional behavior in the workplace. I would go right to HR and even the supervisor. Is this professional conduct? Is this supposed to be happening in the workplace? Does this violate what's in the handbook about workplace decorum, proper etiquette and courtesy, professional conduct in the workplace? All questions. See what they say with the screenshots. Let's see. And I would not participate in sending anything but professional material. Like, this is the job. This is not the time to be sending, I lost a whole bunch of weight over the winter. I can't wait to get out here in my swimmer. This is not the time. Look what funny memes I found. None of that. Everything, a report that I was supposed to have due on Monday, got it finished a day early. Here you go. That's what you send. That's what you text. Nothing else. Nothing else. And get a reputation for that so that people don't even send me, because I'll snitch. That's the reputation you better do. Ooh, we can't send that sort of thing to Gusty. He'll snitch and get us all fired. Yep. The last report, and you see how they wait you out? You see how they wait you out? They said that when they were asking for specifics, they said some of the officers had reported that they had been mistreated. It's been 2 years. Still ain't heard nothing. Heard that one all the time. Mr. Fuller said that, like, sometimes, oh yeah, if you're going to decide you're going to make a report or what have you, an allegation of mistreatment, it might be you're signing up for 5 years. I think I heard one in Oregon as well. I seriously think that they said that it took 10 years. The investigation was still pending. Anyway, we ended with Chicago Black Restaurant Week. You can go to the website, CHI for Chicago, CHI Black Restaurant Week.com, and check it out. If you're in the Illinois area, certainly you should probably know about this. If you are visiting Chicago during the month of Negro History Month, hey, go see if you can find a few restaurants and partake, support some black businesses. I was reminded, Mr. Fuller asked, what sort of businesses would black people open? And it came to mind. There's video to this audio report that we heard. In the video, you get to see, you heard, she listed all the food that they had to sample. I was reminded of our recent conversation with Dr. Rogers, black male in California, and he was talking about black Negro culture and Negro food. And I said, most of the food that black people eat, I would not be able to eat a crumb. There you go. They had about 6 or 7 plates of food. They had bread, pudding, the chocolate chip cookies that did look tasty. Maybe not the bread pudding. I'm not a fan per se, but it all looked, top shelf, high quality. But hey, grits, heard that a few times. Bacon, porky. That is Dr. Shahrazad Ali. She did write that book, How Not to Eat Pork. They put that front and center at Chicago Black Restaurant Week. But either way, but you heard the grits, you heard the bacon, you heard the catfish, I can't. What I'm gonna eat? And I mean, even if they had the grits with maybe roasted veggies or what have you, or curry or whatever the case may be, no. They got to put the bacon, shrimp on the grits, like, or the catfish on the. And now see, you heard. I was reminded. Fuller talked about. He said, "What would you sell to black people? This is black people that have a little chuck wagon and chicken stand and all the rest. But what do you sell to black people?" She said repeatedly, the victim of racism, Lauren A. Smith, who started Chicago Black Restaurant Week, kudos for her, constructive, she said, to help the so-called community, but she said repeatedly, I brought this food to share with you all so I won't get big. You're not going to get me all big. If you go and eat all the food on their menu, you'll get big as a house. Man, and that's what I told Dr. Rogers. I said, oh, man, you go get all the Negro food for Negro History Month, that'll kill you. You will get you a good dose of the diabetes and the high blood pressure and hypertension and add about 20 pounds of weight. You'll have, and whoa, you will need to sign me up. You go to the Chicago Black Restaurant Week. Now, where is the Ozempic? Do y'all have an Ozempic representative there so I can get my weight together? That should not be the eating experience that, oh man, I know I'm about to gain 15. Like, what? Wait a minute. Why aren't, and particularly for black people, why aren't, and particularly in Chicago, where they notorious for food deserts, so-called, and all the rest of it, why isn't it we going to have healthy food? We're going to put down things that'll be tasty, hey, we're looking out for the so-called community. We don't need to load you all up with a whole bunch of fried catfish. You already got health problems and things. That's not helping things. Even if it's the best tasting catfish in the world. Come on. Anyway, Chicago Black Restaurant Week, CHI, blackrestaurantweek.com. I'm sure that they have some healthier eats, maybe even some vegan treats at the extravaganza this month. I just didn't see them in that segment. I will quickly say, I've talked about other, because they have similar events in other locations, Black Restaurant Week in, Detroit or wherever else. All of these events that I've seen since I've been paying attention the last 5 years or so, every time it's a lot of deep fried foods, like fried chicken is really what I was looking for, but a lot of times it'll be fried chicken, fried catfish, grit. That's what, and it was a lot of cheese on, I think, the first dish that they mentioned. It'll be the food that will kill. That she said, boy, you want to gain 20 pounds and look unsightly for your swimwear in the summer? Go eat what the black people eat. Go eat what black people have been allowed and encouraged to eat and brag about as black culture and black cuisine. Go eat that. See how you feel even. Go eat that and see how you feel about engaging in some counter-racist activity. What they call the itis. That's what they call it. Anyway, that was not a good advertisement for Chicago Black Restaurant Week. But I mean, hey, black people do not eat quality food, generally speaking. We are not in good health as victims of racism. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. We have any folks who've been to Chicago Black Restaurant Week and you ate healthy foods, vegan items? Write us an email and or dial in. Let us see. Our caller, I guess you're on the VOP line, perhaps. You had a hand up if you had either suggestions or a question to share. Proceed. You should be with us. Our caller with the hand up, did you have commentary to share? Maybe just listening? Not sure. Might have tricked us. If you change your mind or feel like you have commentary to share, I'll check back. I'll read one email. Maybe we'll check back, see if you have commentary. Or maybe I'll take a different caller and we'll double back. I'll check a caller, double back, see if you have commentary to share. The aforementioned non-Clemson grad and or Mama C double O Dimples down in South Carolina, no less, where I just mentioned as well. Let's see. If you all have commentary to share, proceed.
Yes, can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes. It's very interesting listening to some of those reports, especially the ones about the Department of Education, losing all that money to basically workers who did not work, who were probably willing to work, but just were unable to work. I wish we could all have a job that lasts long as 9+ months and you still get paid not to work. All right, so I do have a couple of things to report. After 11 years of service to the local county government, my student loans are in the process of being discharged. This should have happened a year ago, but when Trump got into office, he interrupted the process by changing regulations and the states sued. Though I continue to work to build my own private engineering and planning firm, I am actively looking for a new job now. After having a conversation with another black male who worked for another local government agency, I said to him out loud, maybe for the first time to my own ears, that I was burnt out in my current position. I am tired of my efforts not producing anything. Working hard and taking on more work is not benefiting me. I'm not getting raises nor opportunities. I'm being led along by the nose. Before I left that same meeting, I ran into the new chair of the transit board. During our conversation, he brought up now how he came across previous work I had done in the region and said the region should be going in a direction of my work and that they used my previous work to pursue a grant they did not get. I asked when my work was used, did they give me attribution, and he responded, I think so. I was reminded, like my friend always said, people around here love to steal your work. I said that if you wanted to see more of that work, he is free to request it through email. If I do provide him examples of my old work, they will be watermarked to make sure they just can't present it as their own work. My department administrative assistant recently passed kidney stones, and she was out sick for a day after a trip to her doctor. On a side note, my manager and the other planner were having a conversation about how she's exhausted her sick leave, and if others to share their sick leave with her, she would need to be on FMLA, which I believe is Family Medical Leave Act. Interestingly, they had this conversation in front of my cubicle. I overheard it and said nothing. The conversation seems inappropriate and felt like a setup, like I was supposed to offer her some of my sick leave. Excuse me. Unfortunately, I took a certification exam for GIS back in December 2025 and failed. The moment I got back from Christmas, New Year's vacation, I went back to work and saw a new study guide on my desk that I requested before I returned to work. I plan on retaking the exam again in June 2026. For my first attempt, I used study material found on a website from the certifying organization. In the last 2 weeks before my exam, someone else I knew was studying for the exam gave me some extra material, which really helped, but came too late for me to incorporate and pass the exam on my first attempt. Along with the new study guide, I also enrolled in a prep course as well. My new director changed department policy, allowing for 2 attempts in a prep course before you have to pay out of your own pocket. Though I do have to pay for 1/3 of the prep course, I must admit the change is positive. Interestingly, though I'm looking for a new job and my current employer paid for my certification exam, if I was to leave my current employer before completing my exam, I do not have to repay anything back. I verified this with another coworker, and of course, I had also checked the employee handbook. While reading through my weekly articles, I came across an article that talked about the HOPE 6 Revitalization Housing Mixed Income Development Program from 1993. The program was largely abandoned and considered a failure. Interestingly, a Harvard professor, Raj Chetty, did a study into housing developments that came out of the House 6 revitalization program and found that even though adults got no benefits when they moved into such developments, their children would go on to benefit when they became adults in the form of greater incomes. The study concluded that because those kids were in close proximity to higher income individuals and mixed income development, they got a social boost that made it easier to matriculate into better paying jobs. This program goes to show that you can do development without displacement. I was shocked to find out that as of March 2024, the U.S. Census has adopted 2 new racial categories, Middle Eastern or North African, and Hispanic. I guess white folks want better stratification of who is actually considered white. Before this most recent change, Middle Eastern or North American was considered white, and Hispanic was considered an ethnicity of people who speak Spanish or came from Spanish-speaking countries, and now it's just considered anyone who comes from Central or South America. And before now, 2/3 of Hispanics identified as white. While talking with the engineer that's been training me over the last couple of years about recently crossing into Canada back when my daughter was a newborn along in an area of Niagara Falls, and how easy it is during off-season, so much so that customs barely check our paperwork, he responded by saying he thinks it's appropriate to profile, especially when people are suspicious. And just to be clear, the context was when me and my wife were crossing into Canada for the first time with our newborn baby, who just turned 3 about a week ago. Newborns don't need passports, but they do need birth certificates, which we had and nobody checked. I was unsure how you would get to the conclusion of suspicious and when to profile in any context of our conversation. And with that, I will mute my line.
Boy. Much obliged, non-Clemson grad. Man, that's so much. Not applause. The applause was not for the, I guess, applause for suspicion aimed at you and or Double O Dimples. That was not the applause. The applause for the earlier portion of the sharing. But much obliged to non-Clemson grad. And we could start, in fact, getting the student loans discharged. That worthy of applause. And we even had the segment that was talking about getting those student loans paid and how convoluted the process can be. He said, it should have happened a year ago. Apparently, there are lots of people having that sort of or all kinds of difficulty because the student loan process is really, really cumbersome, and probably especially so for non-white people. But congratulations on getting that taken care of. Bravo, bravo. Let's see. The workplace in terms of a privileged black male not on the supercharged elevator to the top of the corporate ladder, or at least the development and planning ladder, sounding very similar. I said not getting any benefits, no opportunities, just the metaphor led by the nose that is quite common for many victims of white supremacy, even the most talented. Really a reminder of why I have said for years, you can be super competent, really excited about the work that you do, you're prompt, always do high quality work, personable, all of that. It does not matter. You cannot be thinking that, oh yeah, they're going to do right by me and recognize what a value I am to the team, and promotions and raise. You should not be thinking that at all. In fact, it might just further irritate racist man, racist woman, racist child. What? Who is this Nick? Show up on time every day, speaks proper English, gets things done. Either that or they steal all your work. And they still do the same thing where you don't get any promotions, you don't get any benefit. We don't even give you no attribute. We do not give no acknowledgement. Where did you get this from? Oh, we found it. What now? No, nothing. No, nothing. That is super. He said the folks on the job told him, oh, yeah, they will steal some intellectual property around here. and then come back and say that we are the ones who are ignorant and or not qualified for a promotion. He asked them, hey, did you all acknowledge that I was the author of this work that you used for the grant that you almost got? He said, I think we did. Man, that is, I feel way better now. I'm sure you did. I love it. I might even say that is a master form of deception. Well, I didn't say that we did. Now, hey, you give those old vague responses so they can't really tie you down and say, well, I didn't exactly lie, see, because I didn't say that we did credit. I thought we did, but then turns out we didn't, see. Let's see. He said, man, I love it. So slick. He said they came to his work area and they started having the conversation. Said, little Martha, she had to get those kidney stones passed and everything, and she's about out of sick leave and what have you. If anybody wants to donate any sick leave, any old coworker here, she has to get on the FMLA. But yeah, I think she might be out of sick leave. Well, let's get back to work. And then they went off and he said, I think they came to do this around me, getting me to go and, hey, I got some hours. I don't need them, I got a young daughter and a wife, but, that's it. Don't even worry about it. Here you go. Just take them. I suspect that totally could have been the case. We've heard from a number of listeners over the years exactly the type of scenario that he's talking about. With white people, I want to add, stress, with white employees, for whatever reason, they were sick, neurodiversity crisis, whatever. They had to miss a month or a week of work. And, hey, let's have a little powwow. If anybody got extra hours, sick leave, Susie would really appreciate it. It's been a tough year and blah, 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 that sort of thing. And they work it out. Totally different approach. If it had been non-Clemson grad and he needed some, hey, got a young daughter, could have been anything. Well, you ran out of sick leave, and we got, policy and procedures. We can't be giving away no sick leave now, so you can't be asking your coworkers. Just seemed a very different procedure, and it would not surprise me at all because they know the way that we have been conditioned, especially in South Carolina. They know the way that we have been conditioned. Oh, yeah, I got to help out a white person. I got to help out a white person. And we might even be thinking if I give them my sick leave, that'll, really push it over the top for me. So the next time I'm up for a promotion, next time I'm up for that position, they'll remember, oh, he hooked Martha up with that sick leave. That's a good black boy right there. We're going to give it. No. Seen that too. No. They take your sick hours and you still don't get no promotion or a raise. Led by the nose, he said. The watermark, I love the idea. Folks can use that one if you have work or reports, because I've heard that so frequently where non-white people produce a document of some sort, and sometimes it's not even anything made. Sometimes it is just racists and even other non-white people sometimes are so lazy. Just a sentence. Sometimes it's not even it. The person didn't even think it was enough value that I need to go and copyright this or that someone would steal this, and even something that might just be, 10 sentences, right? Something that didn't even take a whole lot of time and energy to put together. Whoop, snatch that too. It is really widespread. That might indeed be something to incorporate. Watermark. As simple as that. You're going to have to put some labor in. You're not going to just be able to go and take this and slap that up on a screen or nothing. You're at least going to have to do some effort to steal this one. Love it. Let's see. He said he looked at the program and said there can be development without displacement. That is not what white people want. To give non-white people, victims of racism, access to better housing, better resources, where they, could learn some skills and be around other individuals, maybe network, where they could help get a better job, improve their quality of life. Race soldiers, that is not what they want. They like displacement, especially racial displacement. We're going to figure out a reason to move them niggers over yonder. Let's see. And that, man, I talk about it. I've talked about this one, I think, for the entire time. 10 years now that we've done Neutralizing Workplace Racism as a totally separate entity. And I might have been saying this even before then. I have seen it in every way imaginable. Once the conversation moves away from the workplace, and even when we're talking about the job, it's very likely you could be called, a Negro. Got to talk about Negro History Month. Anything. You're the contagion. Anything racist. Once it moves away from talking about the workplace, oh man, it's much more likely, much more frequent, and I think much quicker, all of the tackiness and racism will erupt. They're talking about, I have even no idea. He said the same thing. We're just going into Canada, and man, the folks, they didn't even do our paperwork. They was, whatever. And the fella somehow, I think it's correct for them to have a little bias, in checking suspicious people. I don't think Double O Dimples is suspicious. She likes to read. Wait, she does like to read. As we have learned in the Catherine Massey Book Club, niggers that read are suspicious, radical, maybe even criminal. So, if he knows like we know, yes, all of you, yes, all very suspicious. They should have been triple checked. Maybe even we shouldn't have allowed them to cross the border. Be that as it may, that's about the best you can expect. Because I guess some people might say, hey, non-Clemson grad, I don't agree. Maybe he wasn't even talking about you all. Maybe he just meant people in general, because we got a lot of wacky folks. The Canadians are mad about the tariffs or whatever. Oh, the 51st state comment, what have you. Maybe he wasn't even talking about you all. You got sensitive for no reason, and you like to blame white people for things. He wasn't even talking about you. Did you consider that possibility, that he wasn't really saying that you or you all are suspicious?
Very interesting question. I don't think it really matters. The reason I don't think it matters is because he talked about he's been to Canada before. I think he said he went to Nova Scotia, which is basically a very desolate, cold place. And he talked about him and his brother went there and apparently went on a bender. I'm not really sure what a bender is. Maybe he got really drunk. And the people in Canada were like, hey, you got 24 hours to leave the country. And he said he happily left because of whatever he did at the time. So I'm not really sure.
Wow. That is wild in every sense of the word. I would not share a story like that with a coworker, white or non. Oh my God. I would not want that sort of incident going through someone's mind when it's time for a raise, promotion, bonus. They gave him a time limit to get out of the country. That's what I'd be. Wonder what he did. Did he kill somebody? Because if that had been you, did he rape a white one? I bet that's what he did. He went up there and he went up there and got on a bender. Do not. You always talk about the workplace. You don't even want to talk about the good times and moments that you are super proud of that are not work related with your coworkers. I have never said, get your wedding photographs and see that big smile there. And we were so happy. And look where we went for 100. All of that is wrong. Wrong. That's your most proud moment. I'm certainly not coming to talk. Kicked us out of the. Come on, man. Come on. If anybody is suspicious, Jesus. Anyway, much obliged, non-Clemson grad. Suspicious because he reads. The number again, 720-716-1960. 7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Let's see, I'll do one email. Let's see. Okay, our email number one. Hi, Gus and Cal's audience. Bay Area mom is 1,000% correct. Right-wing Ashley acts the way she does because it offends her sensibilities having to report to a black person. And did she stop working on the project I told her not to? Question. I'll give you all one guess. Hell no. Tuesday morning, I gave Amina various instructions to finalize the letter after the lawyers made their final comments, and to give Harry a notification that we would need him to clear it at 2 p.m. When the lawyers emailed their changes, I opened the document to check what they advised, and lo and behold, right-wing Ashley was doing the same. I said nothing. A short while after, I got an email from Amina advising me that right-wing Ashley would be helping her revise the letter as she has the background knowledge. Are you serious? Right-wing Ashley was also included in the email. Amina is getting on my last nerve. I replied to them both, letting Amina know that I would be reviewing the letter as I had been, and instructing right-wing Ashley to focus on the letter to the other project she's effed up, as it needed to go out that day. Right-wing Ashley replied, removing Amina from the email copy list, to say she was waiting for the lawyer to get back to her with their comments. So I asked her to start preparing for the debriefing session on how the application from the company that complained. She sent a few emails asking for clarification, at the end informing me that she would have limited time as she's working on other projects for Isabel. Yeah, real brazen. She told me she would put her ideas down and then leave it to me with Amina and Fred so they could feed in. She wanted a reaction. She wasn't getting one. Amina sent the draft letter to Harry for clearance as I requested. Harry, who had been relatively relaxed about the complaint as I'd given him the background 2 weeks earlier, was all of a sudden concerned. Amazingly, he asked me the same questions that mirrored the issues right-wing Ashley raised the previous week, including the grounds for rejecting the proposal. So she went behind my back to cause further chaos, and the letter didn't go out on Friday as planned. Sabotage. The deadline was the 3rd of February. That's Tuesday. Right-wing Ashley gets time away from work every Monday to do her studies. Did I read that? Wait a minute. Right-wing Ashley gets time to do her, like, what? Wait a minute. Like, you mean like a class? Like, is she taking classes or something? Is that what you mean? Like, why would you, is this work, like, is this, she gets time to go and do her, like, remedial catch up so I can stop messing things up at work studies? Or is she taking, like, a class, like something online or whatever, where she actually is not doing work? She's reading a book or taking a test or watching a lecture. Like, wow, that is a lot of flexibility for someone who doesn't even do their job well and they give her like an hour or two pause in the afternoon to go, like, just wow. To be classified. And maybe I'm not, that's why I paused. Maybe I'm not understanding it. Maybe she's not taking like a class or something. Maybe this is work related. She just takes this hour to do remedial catch up so I can be a better employee. Oh, okay. Got it. That's still on the clock. Okay. I'll sleep reading. Maybe she gets this time to do her stories. She wants to be a lawyer, which is a terrifying prospect, and partly explains her giving legal advice she's not qualified to give. So is she taking like law classes? Like, whoa, that is crazy. Tristan was unwell Monday and Tuesday, and Harry was also in training Monday and Tuesday. This meant getting Harry's sign-off was difficult, made harder by the concerns he obviously had following right-wing Ashley's sabotage. Harry hasn't revealed that she spoke to him, but I strongly suspect she either contacted him or got someone else to do it. So, to counter any further interference, I removed right-wing Ashley and Amina from the emails and managed the process of getting sign-off myself, limiting emails to just me, Tristan, and Harry. I eventually got his approval to make the changes at 4:50 p.m. on the 3rd, which meant 10 minutes to make his final changes and then get it to the team that manages the complaints process as they send out the letters. I got the letter to them at 5:05 p.m., so in the end, the letter went out the following morning, so past our deadline for responding. Pure chaos. I felt as though I was responding to 40 complaints rather than one. This was such a distraction from other projects I manage. I've decided not to respond directly to right-wing Ashley's email. Tristan, in my performance review, critiqued my leadership of the team. This racist suspect held a meeting with only right-wing Ashley and Amina last November to discuss the process for managing applications. I was initially invited, but he moved it to a day when I was on leave. The following week, he informed me that Amina would be supporting right-wing Ashley as an when needed, and to leave them to decide how they manage the work. This wouldn't happen if I was white. This signaled to both right-wing Ashley and Amina that I was not leading a damn thing. Now that the complaint is in and Tristan is getting fed up, he wants me to demonstrate my leadership. So I reminded him of his direction last November. He claimed that he didn't mean I shouldn't get involved. I also took the opportunity to let him know exactly what I've been dealing with from right-wing Ashley and Amina in her shadow. This includes withholding information from the project, updates that she sends him, despite my numerous instructions. He said that I'm giving examples and that we may have to take steps if she doesn't improve. Like, man, how much longer are we going to wait before we, do something to neutralize our... We've been still going through the attempts that, do you want mediation? Right? They've been going through all this since, I think, summer at least, maybe even earlier, but I mean, it's going on almost to 12, like the 9 months that them people got paid to do nothing. It's almost on the same timetable, like wasting time. It is so rampant in the system of white supremacy and generally wasting non-white people's time and energy. The reality is that I haven't left them to do what they want, but he undermined my position and left scope for right-wing Ashley to challenge me with confidence. I didn't really care because I do what needs to be done, as I fully expected there would be a time when Tristan's memory would fail him. I don't think he's briefing right-wing Ashley or Amina, who is currently line managed by Tristan, but will be reporting to Keisha soon. This will be better as there's less opportunity for her to undermine me directly. Tristan suggested I start holding team meetings with right-wing Ashley and Amina. Right-wing Ashley is not liking the idea at all. We have monthly meetings with the company lawyers. She manages the meeting invites, which I consider administration. Last week, I sent invites for the debriefing session and a separate meeting to review processes and procedures. The lawyers and Fred will be part of these meetings too. I decided to send the invites myself, reducing the opportunity for undermining or right-wing Ashley's thinking she's in charge. Absolutely. Even though I'm in agreement, that's the sort of thing that, hey, if you can delegate, and that's the sort of thing that I suspect either the bots can already do, or if you give them 5 minutes, they'll be able to do that easily. But with a person like this, oh yeah, they get to send out a few invitations or what have you. I'm going to see how I can take over. Make a few changes, make a few edits, add a sentence in. Like, oh yeah, see if I can get in. We're co-managing this project. Yes. In fact, the Negro woman, she reports to me. Really means, do this to make her feel like they come in it. So absolutely give them less opportunity to cause problems. The monthly meeting invites needed extending, so right-wing Ashley followed up my invites to the debriefing and process review meetings with an updated invite to the monthly meetings. I had also put weekly project team meetings in the diary for the three of us. She put the monthly meeting in half an hour before our team meeting. That, in her mind, is a power play. I waited a few days, then asked her to move those meetings to after our team meetings or the following day so that we can discuss any issues that need to be picked up with the lawyers beforehand, particularly as she claims she cannot raise issues and likes to discuss things with the lawyers that I haven't cleared. Right-wing Ashley has yet to make the change to the meeting schedule. I put reminders in my diary to send her follow-up emails requesting she move the monthly meeting. Love it, and especially the electronic communication. That way it's documented, it's time-stamped, and even including that, this is a reminder, so you have it documented that she has already been told, so that we have a pattern of having to tell her repeatedly to do things. It can't just be tell this person once. Even the most simple task, change the time for the meeting. Even that, you have to tell her 3, 4, 5 times. And even then, sometimes she still doesn't follow orders. That, like I said, if that had been me, out of here. You'd have been one of them folks at the Washington Post crying the blues. I lost my job. You say I don't follow directions well. Let's see. Content. Had to remind her. She's now on leave until next Wednesday, thank God. Last week, she sent an email to clear some correspondence and asked Amina to send the information out this week, Thursday. She and Amina are the same grade, but Tristan et al. Effectively brought Amina in as right-wing Ashley's slave. Even though I do not trust Amina one bit, and she's happy to undermine me, I'm not allowing right-wing Ashley to behave like Missy Ann on my watch. So I cleared the correspondence and told right-wing Ashley to send them out before she went on leave. She did, and I know she was mad. That is kind of wild that you get to, the layers of white supremacy are so astounding. She is an incompetent employee, and she gets like an assistant. Like, if that had been me, like if I had been defiant and or incompetent, I would not get like a little helper to come along and do more work, and maybe that'll help get me through the rough patch on the job. It would not be that at all. Like I said, cardboard box. Been nice knowing you, buddy. Now beat it. That's what it would be. Or any other dark person, I suspect, but not the white man. What does it mean to be white? Much obliged. I think great counter-racist efforts with taking her out of these emails so you can minimize the opportunity for her to sabotage, and also not letting her just get away with not having to do anything. I think that also, I can't say enough. Everything would be electronic document, so I have dates, times, with the exact number of times that I've had to address issues, repeating directions about getting things, and then she still doesn't follow directions in a manner to get projects done timely, while we're missing deadlines and things. Like document. And that also goes to the no false charges of she came for me. Not at all. I made clear professional directives about getting projects complete. She ignored them, sabotaged them at every step of the way. I behaved like a manager, not a tyrant. Document. Although that's so stressful because it's just wasting time. I hate that. Like just wasting time and wasting time and wasting time just for a white person to practice race. Like that's all it is. It's just we're wasting time for racism. Like, come on. Much obliged. The email address again, untiljustice@gmail.com. Untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Should be here tomorrow, same program time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, as well as Saturday, tomorrow, Catherine Massey Book Club, which has really been a lot of the area of labor as well, because the whole book is about black bookstore owners, but hearing some of them talking about mistakes that they made, things they would do better, and just trying to operate a business under the system of white supremacy. It has been quite a bit, but we'll get a little bit closer to wrapping that book up tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and then Saturday, compensatory call-in, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll catch up on news from the first full week of Negro History Month, and then couldn't have February without the Super Bowl on Sunday. I guess we'll, at minimum, we'll be here by 8. That's what I can say at this point. Might be on a little bit earlier than that with the game. I don't know if we'll be exactly when the game starts at approximately 3:30 p.m. that afternoon, Sunday, but certainly by 8 p.m. we'll be on the air, if not before. We'll review what the heck is happening out here and all the rest of it. Maybe even go back a little bit. Dr. Welsing, the last time the Seahawks and Patriots faced off in the Super Bowl, we had Dr. Welsing with us for the entire game. We'll go back and revisit what she was talking about in 2015, or I guess 2015, February 2015, in addition to other treats for this Sunday. And then we should be here Monday early as well. White guest joining us from the Eastern Hemisphere. We'll chat it up about racism, white supremacy in that part of the world, and even some of President Trump's actions and how they are being received across the pond. But that is Monday early because of the time difference. Monday early in the afternoon. Every day between now and at least Monday of next week. Doing our part for Black History Month. Carter G. Woodson would be proud, hopefully, as well as our 17-year anniversary coming up later in the month. Hopefully we have been constructive more often than not over our nearly 2 decades on the air. That's it. We'll give folks 5 minutes, see if they have other commentary, questions, thoughts to share. The number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Invest if you think the cows is constructive. Hit the blog racism-notes.blogspot.com. Racism-notes.blogspot.com. PayPal.com. PayPal button in the top right corner. You'll see the links for PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. Enormous gratitude to all of the investors who've kept us on the air for nearly 2 decades. Hopefully we have been worthy of your time and energy. You can also hit the wish list at Amazon.com. It is listed under Gus T. Renegade. Enormous gratitude to all of the investors who have nabbed an item or 15 over all these years. Hopefully we have been worthy and remain worthy of your currency. I will say really quick, speaking of currency, I just mentioned the Super Bowl coming up this weekend. They had a number of reports talking about many of the non-white workers who would be, I guess, at minimum looking to cash in with working overtime and all else for the next 5 or 6 days or so until all this wraps up down there in San Francisco, saying that a number of the non-white workers, they are worried because of ICE. And some of the folks, vendors don't want to go out at all and sheltering in place and all the rest of it. In fact, I saw that, and then within a few minutes later, I saw reports where they were warning about human trafficking at the Super Bowl. Now, I had seen this before. I think it might, be because, hey, I do live in an area where the team has gone to the Super Bowl 4 times now since the C.O.W.S has been, they've only gone 3 times since we were in existence, but we were close the first time around when they went to the Super Bowl. All that said, so it's a little more salient, but they regularly report that, oh man, you have all kinds of human trafficking in connection with the Super Bowl. Now, I don't know, what the reasons are beyond you have so many people who gravitate to those events that you have to have, I guess, entertainments and such for the people who attend these festivities. And that's a part of the entertainment, to have some, sex workers and all the rest of it, children, all the rest of it, and a lot of these people non-white. But I did see both of those today for the Super Bowl, and like I said, that's non-white people's labor for the big game, in addition to all the folks that are on the field to get brain damage, but all that off the field as well. Like, dang, I gotta be fearful of being shackled, and I don't even get to make a nickel out of all this. I can't even cash in on all of this, and or just the total terrorism of the event and them taking advantage of non-white people. But either way, we'll be here on Sunday and make sense of all that and more. Sunday, I'll pick a time. I guess I'll have to make up my mind about a time sometime between now and Saturday. I guess by the compensatory call-in, I'll be definitive about a time, and we will proceed. Human trafficking, leave that out. Super Bowl of human trafficking, and then the non-white people being scared to go outside because they're going to be shackled. Like, man. Anyway, let's see. Other folks with commentary to share in the workplace. I guess I forgot my reminder as well. It is Negro History Month. I would encourage non-white listeners to be alert. We've had a number of folks who shared over the years that they have white coworkers. Sometimes it'll be the same white coworker. Every year they come and have their little snarky comment to make about chitlins or fried chicken or Jesse Jackson or whatever, calling themselves being slick with some sort of racist joke or comment, or it's just playing you Negroes Month and all the rest of it. I would already be prepared how you want to respond. If they say something, I'm not going to get angry. And what did you say? And who do you think? None of that. I expect this sort of thing to happen. That's another one. You can do the same thing I said before. Write it down. Whip out the pen. You can even go old school. Whip out the pen and pad. Write it down. Fried chicken, George Washington Carver. Just, write it down. Can you repeat that last one? I didn't get the last one. What was the last part of that? Okay, and you write the rest of it down. Date, time, all that. other responses. You can ask questions, but I mean, mine with less is more. You can even give them the fuller. But I would already be thinking it is February, so I'm going to have another like solid 3 weeks plus of being alert just in case somebody tries to be slick and get one in, jab, whatever the case. That's what I would expect from a racist. And I might even check policy and procedure as well to see if they have any commentary in there about professionalism in the workplace, making crude commentary to your coworkers or others in the work environment. That way you can tie that to any sort of report if you even need to say anything. That's it. We'll be here tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, Saturday, same time, and then Sunday. Give me like 36 hours or so, and I'll be kind of decisive about timing for when we'll get on for Sunday to get to it. And then, like I said, again, Monday we'll be here, but it'll be early in the day. So if we have folks, if you do not act a fool, Super Bowl partying down on Sunday, hopefully you can be constructive and still get your rest. You'll be with us early Monday, early afternoon, and or late Monday, depending on your time zone. We'll get down Monday, white guest, talk about racism, white supremacy as a global system, and maybe even a word in on Trump stealing Greenland. That's it. Make sure I did not miss any emails. I don't think so. Untiljustice@gmail.com. If folks catch the archive and have thoughts, observations related to the job, we are always eager. Certainly if folks have any tips for neutralizing any form of sexual abuse, verbal or otherwise, in the workplace, always looking for suggestions. Let us know for sure. But looks like the folks are spectating. I didn't see any other hands. Told folks I'd give them 5 minutes or so. I didn't see any other hands or so. So we will call it a broadcast. We'll be here tomorrow for the Catherine Massey Book Club. Much obliged for the folks wrote in, called in, hopefully worthy of your time and energy. To our other person who dialed in, I did try your line a few times and I did not, we did not hear you. So if you want to try again next week, same time, you can drop an email and or dial in. Try again next week and we will do it again, white people permitting. Sobriety would be best. I know we just passed dry January, so-called, and hey, we got to get down for the Super Bowl and all that foolishness. Dry February, dry March, all of that would be great for victims of racism. We already eat a lot of bad food, and race soldiers put us in places and put us in positions to make it difficult for us to really nourish ourselves well and take great care of ourselves. One thing I'm not going to be sipping on no Mad Dog 2020. I'm not doing that for the Super Bowl. I'm not doing it for Negro History Month. Give me some water. Give me some good herbal tea, what have you. Plenty of that fresh water, no lead in it. There we go. Not no old fire water. And talking about that yesterday. Folks up on the reservation in Canada, to go dump fire water on them or whatever the new iteration of that is. Get out of here, man. Eating healthy, taking care of yourself, taking care of your brain computer, very important. Sobriety would be best. Creator, we ask that you remind us, stop saying not all white people are racist. Remind us, stop name calling people classified as black. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Stop gossiping, especially in the workplace. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed.
I'm a victim, brother.
Problem. You're a victim.
I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning.
Shut up.
The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.